As fun as it is to pick on the later seasons of House, and trust me, there's more where that came from, I'd be remiss if I didn't pick on the early seasons too.
The fact is, if I don't keep busy with trivial things like this, I'm afraid I might start to cry.
You're an ass.
If House's turtleneck tells us anything, it's that there were some trial and error choices in the first season. The pilot has an experimental color palette. Most of the scenes are black and white, except for shades of orange. Wood, skin tones, clothing, stuff like that. It's a little weird because it's the only episode like this, but I think it's really cool. It's distinct. But coincidentally, House treats a clinic patient who has turned orange.
You're orange, you moron.
He's more saturated than House is, but because there are no other colors, it's hard to tell. For reference, when other colors are present, it's easier to tell when someone is jaundiced, sunburnt, or covered in dyes from their new couch.
Is that where you watch your cartoons after you take your bath?
After the pilot, the cinematography evens out. But if we put our detective hats on, you can tell that the second episode uses an alternate scene from the pilot based on the color. And once you know what to look for, they're also wearing the same outfits. If a heroic YouTuber wanted to splice the scene back into the original episode, it would look like this.
You've got 3 overqualified doctors working for you. Getting bored.
Nine letters. Iodine deficiency in children.
Cretinism.
The cinematography is my biggest criticism of the first season. The highlights are crisp and blinding. The shadows are 2 feet long. It makes it feel cheap. The second season is a little more natural, but it's still not quite there. Everything has a pink undertone as if it were soaking in a peachy sunset. By season 3, they hired Gail Tattersall, the regular cinematographer for the rest of the series, and mwah! Sublime. The shots are bolder, the lighting is even appropriate.
The way the soft evening light catches your eyes. The gentle caress of dusk on your hair as you turn around and leave my office without giving me that file. The way the security light hits your legs. Looks good.
Thank you.
The last season is a little muted, but I'll take that over the harsh spotlights. And as long as we're discussing aesthetics. The early seasons were prone to using vibrant songs to end their episodes. Blues, jazz, and soft rock. The kind of stuff that House likes to listen to. And to each their own, but they aren't super emotional. So the later seasons use more melancholy folk music to really squeeze out the tears.
Little mood music. Build the suspense.
Sounds more folky.
You seriously have no idea when to shut up, do you?
But we have to remember when this was made.
Hey, what's this? It says if on.
Oh, the mid-2000s. What a time to be alive. We used to wear t-shirts over long sleeves. Our phones flipped.
He can take pictures with his phone.
Cool.
The All-American Rejects were at the height of their power.
My fans were born in the 90s.
The Baywatch thespian, Carmen Electra, was apparently still relevant. And Grandpa Jesse collected tales from the dinosaur era. See, back in the day, DVD storage was fairly limited, especially for 15 hours worth of content. So someone decided that the first season should be stored on double-sided discs, which is totally insane to me. It's a recipe for smudges and scratches. Fortunately, someone realized that instead of making 3 double-sided discs, you can make 6 single-sided discs. It's cleaner and it displays just a little bit of graphic design. Media will always be part of a time capsule. The further we get away from an era, the more I'm fascinated by how culture influences storytelling. What did we want to say? What were we not allowed to say? And what are universal truths?
Missing her vaccination dates.
We're not vaccinating.
It's comforting to know that idiots have refused to vaccinate their children since forever. Or maybe something sounded like a universal truth, but time proved otherwise.
Trust me, you're not going to be president either way. They don't call it the White House because of the paint job.
When analyzing media as recent as 15 years ago, which is kind of weird to say out loud. Some things have aged well and some things haven't. It's all about context.
So you were fag?
For someone in the Mafia who's deeply insecure about his brother's masculinity, this word is extremely relevant. Ergo, this works in context. Here's something that doesn't.
This is obviously a joke. It's impossible.
No, a joke would be me calling you a homo. See the difference?
Let's put a pin in that. Now, House is an edgy boy.
Inappropriate. I mean, this is the Jew thing.
If there's a line in the sand, he'll cross it, just to prove that ethics are meaningless, morality is conditional, or just to mess with people.
Your attitude towards supervisory personnel is disrespectful, and a disturbingly large proportion of your comments are racist or sexist.
That top makes you look like an Afghani prostitute. Would be an example of that.
And writing the line is tricky. You have to be true to the character. The appeal of House is that he doesn't care if you like him or not, so he doesn't filter himself.
Wow, you are ugly.
Wow. You're an ass. I have a deformity.
I know. That's why you're ugly.
This is as un-PC as it can be on network television, and I think the point is to do that, to just kind of tell it like it is, not like you want it to be, and I think that's part of what people like.
You know, I really admire the way you don't care what anyone thinks. You just do what you want, the way you want.
But the audience has to like him, and the characters have to believably tolerate him, so he can't do anything too unforgivable.
This is beyond asshood! You have the luxury of not caring about your image. I do not. I can permit a lot of crap, but an employee shouting about his sexual exploits with me, no. That is zero tolerance.
So when re-examining old episodes, we have to look at the framing, the differences between the biases of a character and the biases of filmmakers at the time. House thrives on chaos. He believes conflict breeds honest ideas. And what stokes conflict more than outrageous statements?
Dark religious nut.
What did you call me?
He also has the maturity of an 8-year-old.
Could an 8-year-old do this?
You better stop or it'll stick that way.
So writing honestly means expressing views that don't necessarily reflect the views of a writer or the show overall. In the episode Lucky 13, House says plenty of immature things about girl-on-girl action.
You know, if you're in the mood to start kissing or groping or showering.
You'll have to excuse Dr. House. He mistakes immaturity for edginess.
But the episode is written by 2 gay women, and there's enough balance, perspective, and objectivity to understand why the episode itself is not homophobic. For me, most of what House says flies under the radar because the writers are providing contrast, either with his actual beliefs or with other characters.
You're testifying, for the record, that you actually used the phrasing unsquint your eyes? It's not the place to exercise your guilt. Just one of those.
Actually used the phrasing unsquint your eyes.
House knows exactly what racism does to people. He's not ignorant. If being offensive means saving a life, he'll jump at the opportunity.
People finding out that you'd rather let your son die than sign a piece of paper. Where's that rank? And trust me, if I have to paste up a sign in every nail salon and dumpling shop in Pennsylvania, I'll make sure they know. No way Cuddy is going to gyp me.
What'd you say?
I'll see you later. Gonna have them yelling at me for the next 20 minutes. I'm telling you, I'm gonna drop the N-bomb if I have to.
I might disagree with the circumstances. How often does anyone really have to use a slur to save someone's life? But I can understand the motivation, and it creates an interesting hypothetical. Would you let someone die to avoid being offensive?
What would you want? A doctor who holds your hand while you die, or a doctor who ignores you while you get better? I guess it would particularly suck to have a doctor who ignores you while you die.
But House doesn't resort to bigoted name-calling for no reason.
Dumplings. It was a cheap shot.
So to really differentiate between a likable jerk and an unlikable jerk, let's take a look at an episode from Season 3 titled The Jerk.
You know, it's a real thin line between tortured genius and awkward kid who can't get girls because he's creepy.
House treats Nate, a chess enthusiast who apparently has a condition that alters his personality. Spoilers, he doesn't. He's just a dickhead. And his mission in life is to piss off everyone around him.
I'm not eating anything prepared by $5 an hour immigrant hospital cooks and hairnets.
Shut up!
First of all, Nate is completely charmless. He's whiny, abrasive, and he actively insults people no matter what.
Yeah, let's all shed a tear for poor little Nate's mother.
Any more stupid questions?
Nate.
Whereas House is opportunistic. He can be modest or pushy based on what he wants.
You can try.
You can try to look like Selma Hayek. That's not gonna make it happen.
You may not have Selma's ass, but she doesn't have your eyes.
Yeah, right.
And he's so aware of his own behavior that he can be charming even when he's technically saying something insulting.
You are one evil, cunning woman. It's a massive turn on.
It's a performance, so anyone on the receiving end and the audience can appreciate verbal abuse because House is communicating the opposite.
You're a bureaucratic nightmare. You're a chronic pain in the ass, and you're a second-rate doctor at best.
Am I blushing?
But you do know this stuff.
I think one of Hugh Laurie's talents as an actor is adjusting sincerity. For example, on paper, some of House's dialogue is openly racist.
What's that, you say? You got a problem with interracial couples?
Thank you, Chase. No.
Any of your shorties ever been whiteys?
Not sure I understand your ghetto slang. Dr. House, how many black women have you dated, by the way?
I don't care about color, as long as they can help me breed a superior race.
Well, anything would sound ridiculous if you said it in that voice.
But Hugh Laurie can say these lines so sarcastically that I know House isn't trying to be demeaning.
What's that you say? You got a problem with interracial couples?
Oh, thank you, Chase.
No. Any of your shorties ever been whiteys?
Not sure I understand your ghetto slang, Dr. House. How many black women have you dated, by the way?
I don't care about color, as long as they can help me breed a superior race.
Contrast facetiousness with genuine moments of racial sensitivity, and I can tell when House is joking and when he's serious.
Every slave master thought they were doing the black man a favor. Negro can't take care of himself, so we'll put him to work. Give him 4 walls, a bed. We'll civilize the heathen. I'll tell you what, stop doing us favors. If you're right and we end up back in the jungle with lousy blood pressure medicine, it won't be on your head.
Nate doesn't have that contrast. He's antagonistic through and through.
Tell your homies to quit stomping on me.
I'll get the word out that you're a great guy.
I'm not saying that marginalized groups should be coddled or exempt from jokes or insults because that's condescending. But if the joke is gay is bad, you are gay, then it's 1, bigoted, 2, not that funny, and 3, probably not a joke.
So, do people watch what they say around you?
Because I'm black.
No, because you're gay.
This is obviously a joke. This is impossible.
No, a joke would be me calling you a homo. See the difference?
So when House pops off a lazy joke right out of the mid-2000s, it's worth asking, what are we provoking? What fragile, constructed sensibilities are we trying to poke at with an edgy joke? And does the framing support it? In the episode Skin Deep, House treats Alex, a 15-year-old supermodel. I mean, the actress was 27, which is its own can of worms, but whatever.
Are you really 15?
House expresses his attraction to Alex quite aggressively. He visits her as soon as he takes the case. He compliments her, he ogles her, and then he describes her body in detail to his subordinates.
The rounded hips, perfectly sculpted, bountiful breasts.
Like I said, House is a provocateur. He'll say extreme things in order to challenge our complacency. Except he's not really doing that here. He's just excited by a 15-year-old without providing any irony or critique. You might expect House to say inappropriate things about a teenage supermodel to distract himself, and as the episode progresses, he shares more of his actual thoughts.
Yeah, I'm distracted!
But even when the episode gets darker, when House correctly assumes that Alex's father had sex with her, he still drools over her every chance he can, to such a point that it doesn't seem like he's joking because there is no contrast.
I wonder if I could make you dance. Enough. You saw that took us? Would the fact that she's your daughter really stop you?
Oh. She's a babe, though.
So, what did you do to her?
Why would you possibly think to imagine anyone not wanting to nail her? It's a compliment.
And the episode crescendos when House discovers that Alex is genetically male, but has external female sex characteristics because her body is immune to testosterone. Which basically sets off the wildest gender panic chain reaction I've ever seen. House suddenly stops thirsting after Alex, and he misgenders her for no reason.
He has cancer. On his left testicle.
Alex's dad starts freaking out because sleeping with your daughter is one thing, but God forbid she has a Y chromosome. Thus, House's edgy joke.
This is obviously a joke. It's impossible.
No, a joke would be me calling you a homo. See the difference?
Then Alex does this.
I'm a girl! Look at me! How could you say I'm not a girl? See, they're all looking at me! I'm beautiful!
Now, call me well-adjusted, but if I found out that I had a uterus, I wouldn't strip off my clothes and scream, "Look at me, I'm a boy." Here's a more realistic example of a teenager finding out he's intersex.
So what? Am I a boy or a girl?
Some of your cells are male, and some are female.
So basically, I'm a freak.
No, buddy. You're just a little different.
It's a shame, really, because I think this is one of the best medical twists on the show, especially given the circumstances of her career. They could have actually delved into the stigma of complicated genders in a girl-obsessed industry. But instead, the characters more or less conform to that stigma.
I sent him/her up for a psych visit.
Calling her him/her isn't really helping.
Good news is I don't think Dad's gonna be sleeping with him/her again. See, now it's gross.
Are you telling me that the guy who believes everything is a cynical construct, from love to laws to tradition, can't figure out that gender and language are constructs too? Or is he just pushing buttons? The only halfway decent critique is directed at the modeling industry.
Kate Moss was doing this at 13. You have 2 years on her.
But then it shifts towards the age of consent.
This is creepy, even for you.
She's a fashion model on the cover of magazines. Hold her up as the sexual ideal. The law says we can't touch her for 3 more years. How hypocritical is that?
What is House's position here? That the age of consent is arbitrary? Well, yeah, it is. It's a number decided by lawmakers. But guess what? 15 is just as arbitrary as 18, except that 18 accounts for emotional and social maturity. So is hypocrisy really the issue? I don't know if House is making this argument, but let's say he's implying that women should be able to have sex once they start menstruating, because it's a definitive biological goalpost.
And have you bled yet?
Physically, yeah, they're more than capable, and in the US, over a third of teenagers become sexually active before the age of consent. I mean, I didn't because I was too busy watching House in high school.
If it isn't Doctor, I had no friends when I was growing up, so all I did was watch TV by myself, which is why I can now make constant pop culture references which no one understands but me.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
She's not my girlfriend. I'm just interested in her because she's a client and she sleeps above her covers. 4 feet above her covers.
What? Ghostbusters.
But the clear counter-argument is that 12-year-olds in our society are not emotionally capable of having sex and dealing with the consequences.
What's a vibrator?
House knows this because he made that argument one season earlier.
I mean, if you're old enough to bleed out of your vagina, then obviously you're mature enough to handle a simple thing like an abortion without mommy and daddy's help.
And again, assuming that he's implying that the age of consent should be biological, by that rationale, House should not be sexualizing Alex because she hasn't had her period yet. She doesn't have a uterus, but House doesn't know that for most of the episode.
Some girls don't start till they're mid to late teens.
Evidence to the contrary. The rounded hips, perfectly sculpted, bountiful breasts.
So whatever possible insight that House could expose with a joke about age, attraction, abuse, or gender falls flat on its face and he looks like a nasty pervert. But, you know, it's one episode. Surely the writers can learn from their mistakes.
In Iceland, the age of consent is 14.
I'm surprised tourism isn't a bigger industry up there.
So today I'm jailbait, but in 22 weeks, anybody can do anything to me.
Good lord, who produced this show? Bryan Singer?
There are new allegations of sexual misconduct and assault by a prominent filmmaker, Bryan Singer.
Oh wait, he did. That's right, our fourth mystery guest is Bryan Singer, alleged pedophile and director of The Usual Suspects.
Kevin Spacey is Kaiser Soze.
She couldn't have gone with Kaiser Soze. Why don't you hang out in the video store and tell everyone Kevin Spacey's Kaiser Soze? By the way, that ending really made no sense at all.
I don't actually think Bryan Singer's involvement influenced the writing, but his fingerprints are all over the show, from the credits to a cameo as himself.
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
It has not aged well.
God, I wish you weren't a pedophile.
He also directed episodes 1 and 3 of House, which I've always thought was weird. Hypothesis. I think episodes 2 and 3 were rearranged between production and release. Evidence? The creator, David Shore, wrote episodes 1 and 3, and like I said, Bryan Singer directed episodes 1 and 3. Usually when a well-known director launches a TV show, they direct the first few episodes consecutively. Episode 2 is titled Paternity, and episode 4 is titled Maternity. That seems like a pretty overt parallel to have another episode wedged between them. And there are some overt parallels in dialogue, too. In episode 1, Cuddy zings House and he says,
Nice.
In episode 3, Cuddy zings him again.
Nice.
In episode 1, House and Cuddy have a conversation.
And nobody knows anything, huh? Then how is it you always think you're right?
I don't. I just find it hard to operate on the opposite assumption.
Then in episode 3, House references that conversation.
You once asked me why I think I'm always right. And I realized that you're right. At least I think you're right. I don't really know now, do I?
And the beginning of a series is all about establishing major concepts. Who these people are, what they do, and how they act. The pilot does a lot of legwork to establish House's character, his background, his job, and his outlook. And presumably the next episode should reinforce those concepts, but that doesn't happen until episode 3.
I am a board certified diagnostician with a double specialty of infectious disease and nephrology. I'm also the only doctor currently employed at this clinic who's forced to be here against his will.
Another pillar of the show is that the illnesses they treat are atypical. In episode 1, they establish this concept by using a metaphor about zebras.
I don't think it's a tumor.
First year medical school, if you hear hoofbeats, you think horses, not zebras.
Are you in first year medical school?
In episode 3, they reinforce that concept.
I know it's not the standard presentation.
It's a 10 million in one shot. Thought that's what we dealt with here.
I tried to ask David Shore on Twitter if I was right, but he didn't answer. Clearly his silence is proof that I'm onto something.
The fact that you want to answer my questions tells me more about you than answers could.
No, it doesn't. We turned the thing up to 95 degrees.
Did non-answers tell me anything?
Sure, just not as much as actual answers. That's why they're called answers.
I guess the next question is why? Why rearrange the episodes? That I don't know. They may have wanted to soften the edges when introducing a new series. Episode 3 opens with a fairly raunchy scene, for cable, anyway. It's also less wholesome than episode 2, like the patient's parents are kind of unpleasant.
Does Brandon like that quality in you?
You're a little negative.
But it's not dark by any means. The patient lives. In episode 4, a baby dies. Talk about a downer. And as long as I'm railing against old school homophobia, yeah, it's the lesbians that lose their baby. We wouldn't want to upset the nuclear family too much.
Honey, I'm home.
I mean, the universe can kill lesbian babies indiscriminately. It has no agenda, but writers do. Networks do. But what do I know?
Everybody wants to direct.
You might expect the series to get more progressive with time, and it sort of does, but it's sporadic.
We're in the middle of a restaurant. What could he possibly do?
That.
In season 6, House tries to sabotage Wilson's relationship with Sam by bringing a trans woman to a restaurant, who's also a hooker. First of all, this character is played by a cisgendered man, which is complicated. But this is meant to subvert a transphobic joke. We're expecting a typical sight gag. Sam and Wilson are supposed to gasp, clutch their pearls, and hide their heads in shame because a freak is eating dinner with them. But the punchline is that they get along fantastically, much to House's childish disappointment.
I know, isn't it amazing?
Yeah, delightful.
Ignore him. He's just upset that we're having fun.
But what was House expecting to happen? Was he trying to exploit their transphobia?
Sorry we're late. But you know girls, always fiddling with the hair and the makeup.
That seems out of character to me. I thought House sympathized with quote-unquote freaks more than anyone because he is one.
Being little is not the same.
You and I have found out that being normal sucks. Because we're freaks. The advantage of being a freak is it makes you stronger. You gave birth to a freak of nature. Doesn't mean it's a good idea to treat him like one.
But now he's actively trying to stigmatize a woman in public to be petty? I doubt it. And I wish I could sweep this under the rug and say it's the character. House is being House, and he's doing it for the shock value. But based on the framing, honestly, I think the writer is doing it for the shock value, when there really shouldn't be any.
Kurt House, Smith, Sam.
First time he was naked. The second time he brought a transvestite prostitute to dinner. Overall, it could have been worse.
When you think about it, a fictional character is a product of several voices. Every writer will contribute something different, and the character's voice is a moving target. Sometimes House is more narrow-minded.
Give me a reason to get out of this, and I'll tell you who started the rumor about you being a transsexual.
There's no such rumor.
Other times he's as woke as 2020.
See, skinny, socially privileged white people get to draw this neat little circle. Everyone inside the circle is normal. Everyone outside the circle should be beaten, broken, and reset so they can be brought into the circle. Failing that, they should be institutionalized, or worse, pitied.
And what's done is done. Media doesn't change, it's fixed in time, and a lot of this is already dated, even for a provocateur.
The nurse used to be a man.
She's not anymore.
But we can't talk about that.
I thought we were.
We were supposed to talk about that. I came here to talk about that, but on the way up I ran into Cameron. You've got a SEPA patient.
Training nurse is more interesting.
Because we've changed. Or I have, anyway. Society's changed. I can already see a difference in David Shore's current series, The Good Doctor, from casting to the stories being told.
What does it feel like to be a girl? Are you angry? Was that an inflammatory question?
I'd rather people ask questions instead of pointing and staring.
And who knows, 10 years from now, this might look just as quaint. We can only tell stories from our current perspective, especially on network television, and hopefully there's more progress than damage. House features an openly bisexual main character, and that means something. Though, bear with me, I'm going to nitpick a little more.
Do you have to do that?
You mean cheapen everyone's attempt at a human moment by identifying the real calculations that go into it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
When 13 expresses interest in women, it's portrayed as a self-destructive party phase. And when she dates a man, it's a serious, long-term relationship. Well, until the last season.
I'm going with my girlfriend, the woman I love.
To have fun.
13 has a steady girlfriend in one episode, but at this point, she's not on the show anymore because most of the cast left.
I'll explain right after this break.